Oh no, man down. Watch out. Hey, welcome to Garden Hands. Today I am very excited to be starting a new project. I'm going to get my low tunnel set up out in my front yard. We'll see how this goes. I ducked out of work about an hour early, so I'm going to try to do this myself. We'll see. I know there's some boards that I'm going to be using that are stuck under the snow still. So let's head out. I've got a few supplies here. I've got the dog running around behind me somewhere, and let's see what kind of damage we can do out here. Come on, pup. We got busy last summer and didn't really film pretty much anything. That's not quite true. We filmed quite a bit. I just never got around to editing or uploading. So we kind of took a little bit of a hiatus. You guys have not seen this project. Frame of reference, we're in our front yard. There's the road that leads to our house out there. There's a horse pasture right behind us. And I will update what this flower bed is in an upcoming video. It's something that was super fun last year. Very excited to continue with this project again this year. And for right now, I've got a couple pieces of rebar stuck in the ground out here. This is about a 25 foot row right here, 4 feet wide. And I did have a little bit of pre-planning notion last year that I wanted to put a low tunnel in come spring. I pounded these pieces of rebar into the ground, and this will hopefully be the framework for a low tunnel this spring. My goal is to get this set up today. It's the very end of March. And then hopefully within a week or two, the ground will be warm enough that I can get some ranunculus out here. We didn't have a real hard freeze, and things have been kind of warming up the last couple weeks. So other than the snowstorm we're expected to get tomorrow, which is going to deliver somewhere between 5 and 12 inches of snow, if I can get this up, I think I'm going to create a little protected bubble under here, and I could plant in here next week, which is crazy to think about. But it'll free up space in my basement, which I desperately need. So let's watch as the puppy has a little bit of fun out in the last bit of snow. I have a few more supplies I need to get, and then we're going to rock and roll. I have almost all my supplies down here. The only thing I'm missing is my poly plastic sheeting, and the wind picked up and it's now sleeting. So I'm gonna get the first part done and see what the weather looks like. If the wind picks up anymore, I'm not gonna bring that out here. It's just me right now, and I have a feeling it would take off like a kite. The supplies I've picked up for this project. I had rebar already in the ground. It's 1/2 inch rebar. I think it was maybe 24 inches. And I just got, there he goes, 1/2 inch PVC piping. It's 10 feet tall, and my plan is to put it over the top of the rebar and then bend it, and it'll hit the other side and make an arch. I may have to cut it depending on how wide my plastic sheeting is. I'm not entirely sure. The other thing that I have some, I suppose these are 2x6 boards, and I don't know how long they're, maybe 12 feet. We had those left over from the barn project. I don't think these are going to be strong enough to keep the wind out and to hold the sheeting down. Dad thinks that he might have some posts that are just as long, and we might bring those over, but I was itching to get out here and do this. That's one of the differences between us. We both love projects and doing something new. Dad's very methodical. He thinks through his materials list. He gets everything he needs. He's very good at construction and understands like how to build things. I'm on the other end of things. I get a couple materials and I just get really excited that I want to get out there and try and do it. This could very well blow away and become a huge mess right before our eyes, but I really want to get this out here and get it up. I think I will be able to plant things in a week or two, so let's get going. And we've lost the dog into the pasture. Percy! Let's go! Come in! Come here, pup, pup, pup! Come on, pup, 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 pup! There you go. Run, 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 run. Come on, through the fence. Come on, puppy. There you go. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Yay! Hi, mud ball. The rebar in the ground, is not straight now that I look at it. It's about 4 feet apart. I think that should be fairly sufficient. I did not come up with this idea on my own. I did watch some YouTube videos on other people that have done a similar plan and it's worked well for them. So I'm hoping that it will be sufficient for our application, and let's see how that goes. Basically, I'm gonna take a piece of PVC piping. I'm going to put it over the top of the rebar and then bend it so that it goes onto the other side. Let's see if it works. So far, so good. Take off my materials. Perfect. That's all right. Just don't fling up and hit me in the face. Ha! Look at that. Come on. I think, hey, like, it's pretty cute. I actually thought it would be a little bit taller. This is fantastic. So I have a few other materials that I think I will be using for this project. The first of which are these 2-inch spring clamps. And you could put your plastic over these hoops and call it a day, but it's windy here. So I think what I'm gonna need to do is take these clamps, once the plastic's on, and just clamp it over to hold them on. Maybe 2, 3, 4 clamps per hoop. And I'm hoping that will help so that it doesn't start rocking in the wind. The other thing that I have in here, magical bag of goodies, a lot of people put string across the top of their hoops. I don't know if that's called a ridge line. That's kind of what I would think of it as, is at the top. And Dad suggested finding this nylon type 1-inch wide webbing. I couldn't find that. So what I have is lawn furniture re-webbing, and it's 2 1/4 inches wide. It's going to be pretty thick, but basically what we'll do is pretend that I was smart and put a piece of rebar in the ground over here, wrap it around there, and then wrap it at the top of each of the hoops. This is going to provide a little bit of structure on the top, especially if we get a little bit of snow tonight or tomorrow. Help the snow come off the sides, help it stay up so that the hoops don't collapse in or collapse out. That being said, I mentioned if I had been smart and put a piece of rebar in. The recommendation was to put a small piece of rebar in, maybe 4.5 feet away from your last hoops, and you can use that as an anchor. I didn't do that. Dad thinks he might have a couple pieces of rebar left over in the shop, and so because the ground is not totally frozen, we might be able to get those in the ground. In the meantime, because he's not here, I have a couple bags of sand that I might use instead as an anchor. Again, this is where my poor planning comes into place, and it may be a complete disaster by morning. So let's keep going, see what it turns out like. What's the worst that can happen, right? Okay, I had to change the angle. It looked really crooked in the other angle, and actually it is pretty crooked, but it's just the last hoop, the furthest one, that's crooked, or mostly crooked. All right, it's sleeting again. I'm going to go get the plastic sheeting, throw that over the top. I'll probably need my sandbags, and then I'll show you how I think I'm gonna put these boards to keep this from blowing away in the wind. So next steps, put this poly on that I brought down. I believe it's 6 mil. We actually used it on a hill in the front yard as a slip and slide for the past couple of years for the kids. You know, we can probably still use it in the summer. This is only going to be, this isn't gonna end well. We're only gonna be using this low tunnel for a couple months, so they can have their slip and slide back if they really want it in the summer. Okay, no jump. My one concern here is how wide this poly is. I think it's going to be long enough Well, yes. All right. So my one concern is how wide the poly is. I don't recall offhand, nor do I know what it needs to be to cover these hoops. If need be, I can go through and cut the hoops down a little bit so they're shorter. That's not a problem at all. I believe I have enough that it should be long enough. Here's where things could get fun. Here's my anchor for right now. You know what? This is not translucent greenhouse material here. That's all right. I think we're okay. It'll still let sun in. Just gonna clamp it while I work it down. The plan is to fold this extra chunk under and put the sandbag on it and then clip around this one. Then I'll pull it taut going back the way it came from. Sound like a plan, right? All right, get it clipped. It's gonna start sleeting again. I'm gonna pick the best weather for these projects. So if you were listening and noticed I did not put the webbing from post or hoop to hoop, I will do that, but I think I'm gonna wait until we put the pieces of rebar in as an anchor. I don't think they're gonna do much good being tied to a sandbag, and I'm hoping this will just be temporary, maybe a day or two. I think we'll see if it works. They feel pretty sturdy. I mean, I was throwing this plastic over them and they weren't moving too much. That rebar comes up 1.5 feet out of the ground, so I think that helps. All I'm doing is folding it under. I'm going to crawl under the tunnel and put the sandbag on top of it, is my plan. And then I do have more clips, so I think I'll put 4 clips on each hoop. Okay, that's not real pretty, but I basically folded it up into a little bundle, trying to make it as aerodynamic or wind resistant as possible. Okay, I'll fix that, but for now that's going to be how I do the end. All right, there's a 2-foot gap on that end and a 3-foot gap on the other end. I'm gonna go out and put one more clamp on each of the hoops on this side, and then I'll come in and shore up this side. It's not too bad in here. Wouldn't say it's like a greenhouse in here, but it is raining and 30 degrees out, so let's keep going. The gloves are useless. All right, get this tightened up. My gloves and my hat are useless. Ow. And a sliver. Come on. Well, I think that's it. I have to figure out how to get out now, but I'm going to add a clip to this side, and then I think I'll check it in the morning. It's gonna storm tonight. It might fall in, you know, it is what it is. I'm kind of fingers crossed hoping that this will work. And can you hear the thunder? I always pick the best days for these projects. But if all goes well, let's, you know, think positive here. This ground will probably start to melt. Things will get out of here. The ground feels pretty solid underneath, so it'll take a week or so, week or two, before I can get anything planted out here. But if I can get planted out here in 2 weeks, that's a month earlier than normal, and I'm not going to complain about that. That's pretty awesome for something that I had most of this material. The stuff that I didn't, it was fairly cheap, the PVC pipes and the rebar. I'll keep you updated on this. This is the story of the ranunculus for 2023. Hopefully this is a bumper year for us. And by bumper year, I mean, you know, 100 plants. But thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this is not one of those projects that's a total dud, but I appreciate you sticking with me. See you next time. Bye. All right. Good luck. You can do it. By it, I mean nothing. Don't do anything. Just stay here. Woo!